Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united by our desire to grow in love and in service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you are welcome here. Whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or are with us this morning for the first time, we are glad you are here. I'm Reverend Sharon Wiley, Chalice's minister. Our worship musician this morning is our music director, Tim McKnight, and our song leader is Callie Leaf. This morning's service is our annual poetry service. Organized by our worship associates, Patty Carlisle and Carol Mollick, our service today features poetry, some of it written by our congregants, and some of it written by others, but shared here by our congregants. In these difficult times, we hope this service is a reminder that poetry is one of the ways we can express ourselves creatively, and that reading poetry is also one of the ways that we bring more beauty into our lives. And isn't this a time when we could use as much beauty as we can get? So welcome to our online service. Let me orient you who might be new here, new online, a little bit to this experience. Whether you have a microphone or not on your computer, whether you have a camera or not on your computer, you are muted. You cannot unmute yourself during our time together, and you are not visible. So you don't need to worry that anybody else can hear what you're saying or see what you're doing wherever you are. I hope you're comfortable in your home. Yeah, this is come as you are worship on Zoom. If you get a notice that pops up during the service that says internet unstable, that means that your internet is unstable. So if that happens, if you have other devices using Wi-Fi in your home, you might want to turn those off or disconnect the Wi-Fi to help stabilize your connection. If my internet becomes unstable or if Zoom crashes, these things haven't happened before, hopefully they won't, but if they did, that's what would disrupt our worship. And that's just how it is. So if something like that happens, try not to be too stressed out. Just sit tight for a while. If you're kicked out, come back in and we'll see if we can get back on track. So this is me standing on our courtyard on Sunday morning, greeting you. Since I can't hug you myself, please give yourself a big hug of hello. If you share your space with someone else, you might want to give them a hug as well. Oh, it's good to be together on Sunday mornings. So on your menu is a button that says chat. Chat is where those of us who want to, talk to each other during the service. So I am going to put in the chat a link to our online connection card. There we go. If you are new to the congregation and would like to receive our email announcements, you can fill out the online connection card, and that's how you get added to our email list. Our email list includes information about our other activities and small group gatherings that are using Zoom. You won't find most of that information on our website. Also, if you're a regular attendee at Chalice, if you have a question you would normally submit on a connection card, or if you have a change of contact information, you can also use that online connection card for that. Also in the chat, I'm going to put my email address. I want to make sure everyone has that. If you would like to submit a prayer request to me or any confidential information you'd like me to know, those are things you can email me and I'll read them privately after the service. Now, some of our congregants love the chat function and use it throughout the service, which is great. Some congregants do not like the chat box and find it distracting. So if you don't like having the chat box open, you can close it. Just click on the chat button and the chat box should close. That's the same way you open the chat box. So clicking on the same place opens and closes it. Okay, and then the reminder that makes the big difference in using chat, make sure if you are posting you have that little blue menu, and when you start, it says all panelists. You want to drop it down and select all panelists and attendees. I'm the only panelist, so if you just message panelists, it's only me, and I might not see it till the end of the service. But if you message all attendees and panelists, then everyone can see what you're posting, and we all get to share in the conversation. So let's see who's here. Many of you are posting already. Hello and where you're from. We'll listen to some music and share our greetings with each other. If you're a first-time visitor with us and are comfortable sharing that in the chat, we'd be happy to know. So we'll take a few minutes to say hi to each other. This morning, we invited the Peel and Williams family to light the chalice.
Our call to worship comes from Mary Oliver, her poem, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Let us worship together.
My life goes on in endless song. friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
If you have a sorrow you would like to share with the community this morning, this is the time to share it with each other in the chat box. We don't share these out loud, but please feel free to respond to each other in the chat. This is our time for sorrows. We'll share joys a bit later on, and we'll listen to some piano music. If you have a candle that you light for sorrows in your own home, this is the time. May our sorrows be lessened. may our burdens be lightened. In sorrow and challenge, may we know ourselves always held and never alone. May we act to extend our warmth to all who are hurting in our wider world. And now, a story. Emily, written by Michael Bedard, illustrated by Barbara Cooney. This version of the story is abridged. There is a woman on our street they call the Myth. She lives with her sister in the yellow house across the road. Her room is the one up on the left at the front. If you stand on tiptoe, you can see it peeping over the high hedge as you pass. She hasn't left her house in nearly 20 years. If strangers come to call, she runs and hides herself away. Some people say she's crazy, but to me, she's Emily. We were still new to the house the day the letter dropped through the slot. I ran to pick it up. I peeked through the narrow window in the door. There was no one there but Winter, all in white. Mother was in the parlor practicing when I brought the letter in. As she opened it, a little spray of flowers fell onto the keys. I picked them up. They were dry and flat. "Dear neighbor," she read, "I am feeling like these flowers. Revive me with your music. It would be spring to me." "Who is it from?" I asked. "Nobody, dear," she said. "Now run along and play. You may take those with you if you like." And she tucked the note away. Upstairs, I laid the flowers on my windowsill besides the box of lily bulbs we had brought from home. They had lain in the cellar, cold and dark, all winter long. But Father said that we could plant them soon. He said it would help me to make this house our own. Below, I saw footprints leading down our walk, across the road, and up through the hedge of the yellow house. That night I sat in the shadows at the top of the stairs. Glasses chimed through the open parlor door below. Voices drifted up in the dark. "You got a letter from the Myth?" said Father. "Yes, it came today with a few pressed flowers. She wants me to play for her." "And will you go? It's not everyone that's asked, you know." "Well, one can't help but be curious, I suppose. But still..." A stair creaked as I crept back to my room. I sat in bed and looked across the street. The light shone in her room. A shadow moved upon the shade. Did she sometimes sit there, watching me? Father came to tuck me in. "Did I hear a little mouse upon the stairs?" he asked. We stood looking across the street. "Why does she never come out?" I asked. "I don't know, my dear. People say all sorts of things, but no one really knows." Downstairs, Mother played. Tomorrow she would visit the yellow house. I asked her, and she said that I might go. It made me feel afraid. Perhaps the lady in the yellow house is also afraid, I thought. That is why she hides herself. That is why she runs when strangers call. But why? You cannot say. Maybe people are a mystery too sometimes. The next day we walked to the yellow house. "Come in," said the woman who answered the door. "Oh, we have a little one, I see. Emily will be pleased." She walked us down a whispering hall, past a door, a spill of stairs, into a parlor at the rear. "Please make yourselves at home," the woman said. "It was so good of you to come. My sister is unwell today and fears she cannot join you, but she will hear you when you play." She showed me to a chair and left the room. Mother settled at the stool. The music drifted through the darkened room. When Mother stopped, she turned to me. A sound of clapping rippled down the stairs, and then a small voice like a little girl's. "Dear friend, you put the robin's song to shame. Play more. Already I can feel the spring. Now when the music started, I crept quietly from the room. I tiptoed to the bottom of the stairs. My heart beat quickly as a little bird's. I started slowly up. At the winding of the stairs, I stopped. There at the top sat a woman, all in white. At first she did not see me. She sat on a tiny chair. A stub of pencil flashed across a paper on her lap. Then she looked up. "You little rascal, you," she said. "Come here." I stood beside her and looked down at the paper in her lap. "Is that poetry?" I asked. "No, you are poetry. This only tried to be." Her voice was light and brittle. "I brought you some spring," I said. From the pocket of my dress, I took 2 lily bulbs and laid them in her lap. "If you plant them, they will turn to lilies." "How lovely," she said. "But surely I must give you something too." Her pencil dashed across the paper on her knee. She folded it and handed it to me. "Here," she said, "hide this away as I will hide your gift to me. Perhaps in time they both will bloom." Returned downstairs, I sat upon the parlor chair. Still the music played. When Mother finished, she turned to me and smiled, and then it was time to go. Soon the spring came, and one day Father helped me plant the lily bulbs below my room. "I was sure there were more," he said. I thought of Emily in her garden, behind the high hedge, hiding my gift below the ground. Soon the sun and rain would make them start to grow. The leaves would rise up from the soil, and then the lilies, all in white, would bloom. This too is a mystery. So many, many things are mystery. Who has not found the heaven below will fail a bit above, for angels rent the house next ours, wherever we remove. Lovingly, Emily. The end. And now, the first set of poems.
On writing poems. Sometimes poems slip from the soul, asking to be written lest they be forgotten. Sometimes they stay hidden and cannot be coaxed to come. Old photos. Old photos in a basket. Images of souls long gone. Erect and stiff-bodied, eyes staring, hoping to be remembered. Have you no one to honor your existence?
Hi everyone, it's Barry Hacker here, and I guess I am part of this Sunday's poetry service. So I thought I'd share musings from my heart. But to tell you the truth, I don't know where to start. I really don't have too much to share with all of you Zoolanders who are sitting out there. But if you want to know a little something, I guess now here's my chance to share with you a little secret. I'm not wearing any pants. I know I may be in the minority, but fashion on Zoom is not a priority. So as I sit here before you, I have no complaint. Things are what they are, and they ain't what they ain't. I'm just trying each day to keep my sanity as I avoid both Fox and Hannity. Now, let me get back to what's on my mind, which is basically just thoughts of the nothing kind. I try to be creative to help make the time pass, avoiding wasting time all day just sitting on my butt. Excuse my constant rambling of thoughts that don't mean nothing. As I speak in double negatives, it really is quite haunting. I wish I could share with all of you some poetic words of eloquence, but I fear These words out of my mouth have minimal significance. So, as I sit here before you with nothing on my mind, I just hope that my words all come together with some rhythm and some rhyme. If not, please know that I gave it my best as I try to get meaningless words off my chest. You see, I was told to just write whatever. It's all up to you. They said, say what you want and stop when you're through. But they also said, no matter how clever may be your endeavor, whatever you do, oh dear Lord, please, don't you dare go on forever. You see, I have no topic, actually, no theme for my written poetry. The mandate was, don't make a scene, and for heaven's sake, please keep it clean. So I sit here contemplating exactly what I should be saying to all of you who are sitting there on your couch or in your comfy chair. Well, there you have it, empty words from my heart. I'm sorry if they didn't come all out very smart. I can't draw any wisdom from some power above. I'm just trying my best to spread some laughter and love.
Quiet still water of a light crystal hue, a huge expanse of sky painted a much darker blue. The sun beats down, touching my face. I imagine this to be God with his warm, strong embrace. Trees that are silent, but for a moment of wind, giving them life as they dance and they bend. Birds floating by, sometimes pausing to drink. Hummingbirds suckle on flowers of purple and pink. No other sound but a bird chirping with glee. I imagine this to be heaven. Where else can it be? Quiet and peaceful moments, God, let me remember these. Let me be as calm and tranquil as the stillness of your trees. There are places in my heart that I have yet to find. There are places in my dreams that exist only in my mind. A place alive with happiness, where children make the rules, a world that's free from prejudice, which is only taught by fools. A child will learn to love unless he's taught otherwise. A child will grow up honest unless we fill his world with lies. A child knows nothing different than that of which he sees. We can teach him love or hatred and distort what he believes. The world is not a kind place. Does anyone love his brother? A child would never question this if he didn't learn it from another.
Now let's join in singing.
Life is loveliness to sell, all beautiful and splendid things. Blue waves whitened on a cliff, soaring far that sways and sings, and children's faces looking up, holding wonder like a cup. Life has loveliness to sell, has music like a curve of gold, scent of pine trees in the rain, eyes that love you, arms that hold, and for your spirit still delight, holy thoughts that star the night. Spend all you have for loveliness, to buy and never count the cost. For one singing hour of peace, count a year of strife well lost. And for a breath of ecstasy, give all you have and or could be.
Moonset. Sunsets get all the attention. Grandstanding swashes of crimson, blatant blazes of neon orange, clouds gleaming gold flames, etc. No sense of modesty at all. I had a poster once, covered half the dorm room wall. A photo shot through the Golden Gate's cables of the San Francisco skyline, bathed in a furious riot of color. Now, wait, that had to be taken from a Marin hillside looking east, not a sunset at all, but a grandiose morning display decorating the East Bay ridgeline. So much for quick assumptions. In a long life, I have seen only one moonset, a miraculous blessing quite different from its counterpart. The sky turned from gray, ripening into a gentle blue, surrounded by quiet pink clouds and opalescent pearl, holding all things in its heart. As the serene moon slid silently into the embracing waters of dawn.
Hello, this is Ralph Peters. For the 2020 Chalice Poetry Competition, I have a poem which is about a summer love 45 years ago, and I've entitled it Recovered Memory. It wasn't Tristan and Isolde. It wasn't Lord Nelson or Lady Hamilton either. And heck, it wasn't even Scott and Zelda, except for maybe the crazy parts. And there wasn't any racing in the streets on hot summer nights, not a Chevy big block or Holly carburetor in the bunch. But we did sit on the hood of our cars in the dark, laughing and drinking and talking until all hours, serenaded by crickets and chaperoned by fireflies. And this being upstate New York, the porch screen door did slam, with trips to the Shelbourne Quarry at night, spring-fed, blacker than the night, water cold enough to stop a beating heart. Were our sins washed away by that bracing quarry water? Unlikely. Our sins were already set in like grass stains, like blood stains. By mid-August, signs already appearing, the warp and weft starting to fray. Things happen, things change, people change. To paraphrase William Butler Yeats, when the center will not hold, mere indifference is unleashed. People come from different sets of circumstances, Joni Mitchell once said. By summer's end, stick a fork in it, it was done. Back to school, back to jobs, back to old boyfriends and girlfriends, back to college. The onward rush of time closed over the past, swallowed memories like Jonah's whale, like shoveled dirt covers a coffin. The end.
Santilla Shores. I float, watching a leaf spinning from its stem, attached like a reluctant soul unexpectedly demanded to depart, like a withered anthem dispossessed of voice. How is this day different? Murder hangs in this blue sky, invisibly sluicing through air, or at the end of a rifle hidden by a pickup truck, though now visible to all the world. Linda Ronstadt sings, "Guess I'll hang my tears out to dry." A bare breeze slides clouds across the sky and spins the leaf again. I watch and I float.
It's wonderful taking these in. We shared our sorrows earlier in the service, and now it's time for sharing our joys. If you have a joy you would like to share with the community this morning, you can share it in the chat box. We won't share these out loud, but feel free to respond to each other in the chat, and we'll listen to some music while we do this. May our joys be multiplied. May we act to extend our warmth to all who are rejoicing in our wider world. The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. As Buddhist teacher Christina Feldman writes, generosity lies at the heart of spiritual practice. Extending generosity to ourselves and others gladdens our heart, is a direct way of healing division, and brings joy. Please text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't texted a donation before, know that once you text the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to follow to enter your credit card information. If you have already entered this information previously when you've donated, then you won't need to enter it again. It becomes a very convenient way of making donations to Chalice. You can also make a text donation anytime. It doesn't need to be during this worship hour. The phone number will be on screen in a moment, and I'll also put it in the chat box. Please give generously. Please join in dedicating our offering with words of affirmation. As we gather in community, we agree to honor the diverse and wonderful talents among us, to use our creative gifts to express our aspirations, to share joy through laughter and play, to engage our care and attention, minds and hands, to create together beauty and meaning, and so to let our light shine for the world.
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears, while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. While we seek mirth and beauty and music bright and gay, there are frail forms fading at the door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading looks will say, oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. 'Tis a wail that is heard upon the shore. dirge that is murmured around the lonely grave. Oh, hard times, come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. Oh, hard times, come again no more.
I first read this poem in 1998. It's by John O'Donoghue. It's called Bannacht. Bannacht in Gaelic means blessing. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the kirk of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life.
Dreams by Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen in snow.
I'd like to share a poem my mum wrote called Improvise. She was born in 1908 on a farm in Saskatchewan and married a farmer in 1929. The closest town was 20 and a city 30 miles away. The country store and post office at 3 miles was not a quick trip either with horse and buggy. I wouldn't always have what was needed anyway. She lived through 2 world wars, the Spanish flu, drought, and the Depression. Improvised by Ethel Anderson. Our pioneers, with lack of cash and lack of training too, with pluck and courage got work done. They learned the meaning of that word, to improvise. Their goal in life to make a home and make some money too. Though odds were stacked against them, many found what they could do was improvise. When socks were scarce and winters cold, what else was there to do but wrap some paper around their feet and tie it on with sack and string to improvise. When harness broke, 'twas wire and string. When spokes broke off, they'd find a board and bind it on with wire and hope 'twould last till replacement came. They'd improvise. And women also learned the trick to make do when in need. When storming out and cupboards bare, they'd whisk up meals for each to share. They'd improvise. A cardboard box when glass broke out, warm quilts for worn-out clothes. The flour sack had many roles. Our pioneers achieved their goals by improvise.
Pandemic, a poem by Lynn Unger. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your word. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live.
We sing with one voice, we feel with one heart, though apart, we are aware of this one hope that unites us and the love in which we share. Though the miles might work to keep us apart, my heart remembers you. Light a candle in the window tonight, a flame for me, a flame for you. We sing with one voice, we feel with one heart, though apart, we are aware of this one hope that unites us and the love in which we share. There are times I can feel so alone, despair outside my door. I just remember the touch of your hand, and I'm not afraid anymore. We sing with one voice, we feel with one heart, though apart, we are aware of this one hope that unites us and the love in which we share. We sing with one voice, we feel with one heart, though apart, we are aware of this one hope that unites us and the love in which we share, and the love in which we share.
Our sending words today are a poem from Laura Kelly Finucci. When this is over. When this is over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, the taste of communion, routine checkup, the school rush each morning, coffee with a friend, the stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. And when this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be, we were called to be, we hope to be, and may we stay that way, better for each other because of the worst.
I hope you will join us after the service at our coffee hour. We'll put the link in the chat box again, and you're invited to many thanks to all of our poets and readers for sharing, and particularly for working with video, which is new. So yeah, blessings. And you are invited to close our time together by singing The Well.